I broke off my engagement. After my fiancée told me she needed a break to revisit things with her ex, I decided I had enough. I sold our house and disappeared. Hey everyone, after what feels like forever, I, a 30-year-old man, figured it was time to talk about everything that has been going on with me lately. Here is the deal. Up until recently, I genuinely believed I was about to marry the love of my life. Melissa, 25 years old. We had been together for 4 years, and for the most part, I thought we were solid. But now, as I sit here reflecting, I cannot help but wonder why I did not see this coming sooner. Melissa and I first met at a birthday party through a mutual friend. She was funny, confident, and had a direct, no-nonsense attitude that I admired. I had been in relationships before, but none of them ever felt quite like this. With Melissa, everything clicked. We connected almost instantly and moved in together after just a year. It felt natural, as if we were completely aligned on the important things: careers, marriage, and the idea of building a family together one day. She worked as a freelance graphic designer, while I managed projects for a technology company, so our schedules were pretty similar. Life was not flashy, but it was good. We had been talking about marriage for a while, but it was not until last year that I finally proposed. Nothing extravagant, just the two of us sharing a quiet dinner at home. Melissa seemed overjoyed. She teared up, hugged me tightly, and said yes. That night, we started dreaming about our future: an autumn wedding, an intimate guest list, and this beautiful little venue by the lake. Everything seemed to be falling into place, or at least that is what I thought. Looking back, the warning signs were there. Small, subtle things that I brushed off, not wanting to overanalyze. The first clue: her enthusiasm for wedding planning slowly faded after a few months. At first, she was all in, sending me Pinterest boards, scrolling through wedding dresses, and asking me tiny details like whether I preferred tulips or roses for the centerpieces. Then, out of nowhere, it just stopped. When I would ask her things like, "Hey, have you picked your bridesmaids yet?" she would wave it off. "Not yet. I'm still thinking about it," she would say, over and over. The same thing happened with the dress, the cake, the music. Every decision she had been so excited about suddenly became something she wanted to push back. "We have plenty of time," she kept insisting. The wedding started feeling like an afterthought. Back then, I told myself it was just stress. Wedding planning is overwhelming, right? Plus, she had a lot going on at work. I figured she would snap out of it eventually. What I did not realize was that her lack of excitement was not about the wedding itself. It was about us. Then came the moment that really hit me. One night, we were out with friends, playing that ridiculous TikTok game. You know the one. The game where you have to answer personal questions with a straight face, no judgment allowed. Everything was going fine until someone asked, if you could relive one relationship, which one would it be? Without missing a beat, Melissa casually answered, "Oh, probably Ryan." Just like that. Ryan, her ex from college. The same guy who had cheated on her. The second she said it, the whole room went quiet. She laughed awkwardly and tried to backpedal. I mean, not that I would want to. It was just an important part of my past. I want to call her out right then and there, but we were with friends, so I let it slide. Later that night, when we were alone, I confronted her. "What is it about Ryan? Why would you want to relive that?" She just shrugged, acting like it was nothing. "It was just a dumb game, Liam. Do not take it so seriously." She flashed a grin and changed the subject. I did not push it, mostly because I did not want to start an argument over something that, at the time, I convinced myself might not be a big deal. But deep down, it stuck with me. After that night, it became harder to ignore her behavior. She was glued to her phone more often, grinning at her screen while scrolling through messages. She started making vague excuses about why she could not hang out or why she needed to cancel plans at the last minute. "Sorry, I just have a ton of work to catch up on tonight," she would say. Or, "I promised my mom I would visit this weekend." Nothing sounded too suspicious on its own, but it kept happening. The excuses piled up, and I started feeling like I was no longer a priority. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday, and I got home from work early, excited to spend some time with her. I figured we could order takeout and binge-watch something, just a quiet, relaxing night together. But the second I walked in, I could tell something was off. She was sitting on the couch, laptop in hand, but she was not working. She was just staring at the screen, completely zoned out. "Hey, I am home," I said, trying to break the weird tension in the air. "You are early," she replied, like it was a bad thing. I brushed it off and headed to the kitchen to start making dinner, but the silence in the house felt heavy. Normally, she would ask about my day or tell me about hers. That night, nothing. Eventually, I could not take the silence anymore. I glanced around and finally asked, "Is everything okay?" She shut her laptop and looked at me. "Actually, there is something I need to talk to you about." And just like that, my stomach dropped. You know that feeling when you sense something awful is coming, but you are powerless to stop it? That was me, standing there like an idiot, gripping a spatula. I walked over and sat across from her. "All right," I said. "What is going on?" She hesitated for a moment, as if searching for the right words. Then she just came out with it. "I've been thinking about us. And about Ryan." I nearly laughed. "Ryan? Are you serious? What about him?" She bit her lip and avoided my gaze. "I guess I need some time to think things through," she admitted. "I want to take a break and see if there's still something there with him." I cannot believe what I was hearing. "You want to take a break so you can date your ex?" I stared at her in disbelief. "Are you out of your mind, Melissa? We are engaged." "It is not like that," she said quickly, as if she could smooth things over with a few words. "I just need to be sure I am making the right choice with you. And if it does not work out," she added, "I promise I will come back." That was the moment I realized just how deep her audacity ran. She genuinely believed I would sit around, waiting patiently while she decided if I was worth it. Something inside me shifted in that instant. I did not yell. I did not lose my temper. I just sat there, staring at her, wondering how in the world I had not seen this coming. For a moment, I was not even sure how to respond. What exactly do you say when your fiancée tells you she wants to hit pause on your relationship so she can revisit things with her ex? At last, I asked, "So, what exactly does this break mean to you?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. She straightened slightly, as if she had rehearsed this conversation. "I think we need some space to figure things out," she explained. "I will take some time to see if my feelings for Ryan are real, and you can take some time to reflect on us too." The nerve. The absolute nerve. "Wait," I said, leaning forward. "You're saying you need to go date your ex, but I'm supposed to sit around and reflect on us? Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds?" Melissa let out a frustrated sigh, like I was the one being unreasonable. "This is not about you doing anything wrong, Liam," she said, as if she were being the rational one. "This is about me figuring out what I need." She had practiced this. I could tell. The way she spoke, the way she avoided eye contact. It was like she had already made up her mind. She was not asking for a discussion. She was just informing me of her decision. "You realize how insane this sounds, right?" I muttered. "You do not just put your fiancé on hold so you can go play what if with some guy who treated you like garbage." Her jaw tightened, and for the first time, I saw just how stubborn she could be. "I'm not asking for permission, Liam," she said firmly. "I'm telling you what I need." That hit differently. I was no longer just hurt. I was angry. I stood up and started pacing, trying to keep my emotions in check. "So, what is the plan, Melissa?" I asked, shaking my head. "You're just going to pack a bag and head over to Ryan's place? That is your grand idea?" "No," she said quickly. "It is not like that. I do not know what it looks like yet, but I need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure I am making the right choice." I let out a short, bitter laugh. "You owe it to yourself?" I repeated. "And what about what you owe me? We are engaged, Melissa. We are supposed to be building a life together. And now you are telling me you need to test drive your ex to decide if I am good enough." "I never said you were not good enough," she snapped, her voice rising. "But if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I have to be certain. And right now," she added, "I am not." That was it. She was not just curious about Ryan. She was unsure about me. After 4 years together, after all our plans, she still had doubts. And that realization hit me hard. She genuinely thought this was a reasonable request. She believed I would just sit here and wait while she sorted through whatever nonsense was running through her head. I stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her. "You know what?" I said finally, my tone eerily calm. "Sure. Take your break." She blinked, caught off guard by how easily I agreed. "Liam, I'm not trying to hurt you," she said, softer this time. I need space to figure things out." I nodded, keeping my face unreadable. All right. She hesitated, as if she expected me to argue, to fight for her. When I did not, she stood up, grabbed her laptop, and muttered, I will stay at my mom's for a while. This is not forever. We will talk once I have had some time. Okay, I replied simply. She gave me one last look, trying to gauge my reaction, then disappeared into the bedroom. I sat on the couch, unmoving as I listened to her shuffling around, throwing things into a bag. If she wanted space, fine. Let her have it. Minutes later, I heard the front door shut. She was gone, probably thinking she had left me here to wait, to worry. What she did not realize was that I had no intention of sitting around and doing nothing. She could go chase her fantasy, but I had my own plans now. I will update once I have set everything in motion. Because this was not going to end the way she expected. The first thing I did was call my best friend, Jason. We have been tight since college, and he is not the type to sugarcoat things. Once I told him everything, he showed up with pizza, and we spent the entire night plotting. Dude, you know she's going to come crawling back when things do not work out with Ryan, right? Jason said. He was right, of course. The more we talked, the clearer it became. I needed to take charge of my own life. This was not about revenge. It was about reclaiming control. I started with the house. Melissa always acted like it was ours, going on about the curtains and the paint colors she picked. But she seemed to forget one key detail. The house was entirely in my name. I was the one paying the mortgage. First thing Monday morning, I called a realtor. By the afternoon, they had already walked through the place, and we decided to list it immediately. The market in my area was hot, and within days, I had multiple interested buyers. Melissa had no clue. She probably thought I was sitting here, moping in our so-called shared home, waiting for her to sort out her feelings. Next, I started removing her from my life. You know those live, laugh, love signs she insisted on putting up? Gone. The fancy throw pillows she just had to have? Donated. Her clothes and personal stuff that she left behind? I packed everything neatly into boxes. But here's where I got strategic. Instead of having her come pick up her things, or worse, dumping them at her mom's, I hired a moving company. They delivered every last one of her belongings to her mother's house, along with a short note. Here's your stuff. Good luck with Ryan. Some people might call that petty, but I disagree. This was not pettiness. It was efficiency. She wanted space? Well, now she had plenty of it. The best part was watching how her mutual friend reacted. I did not badmouth her. I did not play the victim. I just told the truth. Melissa decided she needed to see if there was something left with her ex before committing to marriage. I would explain casually. I decided I deserved better than being someone's backup plan. The way people responded was fascinating. No drama, no arguments, just the truth laid bare. And the truth had a way of shifting the story. Meanwhile, I was making moves at work. I had been considering a position at our West Coast office for a while, but never took the leap. Now, I went for it. If the house sold, which was looking very likely, and I landed the job, I would be starting fresh on the other side of the country. Melissa, of course, started noticing. At first, she sent light-hearted messages. Hey, hope you're doing okay. When I did not respond, her text got more serious. She must have caught wind that I was actually making changes instead of sitting around, waiting, and then yesterday, full-blown panic. Her mom had called to let her know that her boxes had been delivered. That is when my phone started blowing up. What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over? I kept my reply short. Because it is over, Melissa. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. That is when the tears started. She called me, crying, saying she just needed time to figure things out. That I was being rash. That this was not what she meant when she asked for a break. What did you expect? I asked. That I would just sit here like a loyal puppy while you test drive your ex? She kept sobbing. But what if I realize you are the one I want? I let out a breath, calm and steady. Then you will have learned a valuable lesson about not taking people for granted. And then I hung up. The strangest part? I did not feel angry anymore. Instead, I felt free. Every box I packed, every step I took, it felt like I was reclaiming pieces of myself I had unknowingly given away. Jason stopped by again yesterday to help with packing. He took one look at me and nodded. You seem different, he observed. More focused. He was right. When Melissa first told me she wanted to explore things with Ryan, it felt like my world was falling apart. Now, I realized my world was not collapsing. It was just the illusion I had been living in finally crumbling away. I have more in the works, but I will save that for the next update. For now, I will leave you with this. Sometimes the best way to respond to someone treating you like an option is to remove yourself from their list entirely. Stay tuned. This story is far from over. And something tells me Melissa is starting to realize that her little break is not going to play out the way she expected. Update 2. Things have escalated even further, and I have some news. Remember that West Coast job I applied for? Well, I got it. The timing could not be better. The house is already under contract, and closing is set for next month. But that is just the beginning, because, as it turns out, Melissa's little experiment with Ryan, let's just say it is not exactly going the way she planned. To be continued. Through mutual friends, I found out that Melissa's grand reunion with Ryan was not the fairy tale she had imagined. Turns out, for years had not changed him much. He was still the same untrustworthy guy who had cheated on her back in college. But here's where it gets good. Melissa had been trying to control the narrative on social media, posting vague, inspirational quotes about finding yourself and following your heart. So, I decided to play the same game, but with a twist. I made a single, factual post. Update on my life. Excited to announce I've accepted a position in Los Angeles. Sometimes when one door closes, better ones open. Looking forward to this new chapter. That was all it took. The comments and messages started rolling in. People congratulated me, asked about the move, and of course wanted to know about Melissa. I kept my responses simple and honest. We are no longer together. She wanted to explore other options, so I'm exploring mine too. And just like that, the dynamic shifted. The people who were unsure about the situation, watching me handle it with grace, while Melissa posted cryptic relationship quotes, made them see things differently. Then came the professional fallout. Melissa's freelance design work depended largely on referrals and networking. One of our mutual contacts, Emily, who had sent a lot of business her way, reached out. I need to know what really happened, she said over coffee. Melissa is telling people you are on a temporary break to grow individually, but something feels off. So, I showed her Melissa's own words, the message where she had told me she wanted to date Ryan. Emily's expression said it all. She was done believing Melissa's version of events. By the end of the week, multiple clients had put their projects with Melissa on hold. Not because I had said anything bad, but because, let's be real, who wants to work with someone who treats commitments so lightly? Melissa felt the shift. Her messages became more frequent, more frantic. Why are you telling people about Ryan? You are ruining my reputation. This isn't fair. I just needed time to think. I replied to the last one with a simple truth. You got what you wanted, time and space. How I spend mine is no longer your concern. Then came the turning point. Ryan, in his infinite wisdom, posted a photo of them together at the exact restaurant where Melissa and I had our first date. She was literally trying to recreate our history with him. It was both sad and hilarious. The post did not stay up long, but the damage was done. Our friend saw it, and the last few people who had still been defending her finding herself narrative, they lost respect for her. Even her own sister reached out. I'm so sorry for how she's handled this. You deserve better. And the best part? I never had to be petty or vengeful. I just lived my life honestly, while Melissa tried to play both sides. The truth has a way of revealing itself. Then, yesterday, she showed up at my office. Apparently, Ryan had already started showing his true colors, flirting with other women, being unreliable, the same old story. She was in tears. I made a huge mistake, she sobbed. I was scared of commitment. I thought I needed to see if there was something better out there, but I was wrong. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I looked at her, calm and steady. No, Melissa, the best thing that ever happened to me was you showing your true colors before we got married. She tried to argue. She swore we could fix things. She said she would go to therapy, that she would prove she could be trusted again. I just shook my head. You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about Ryan anymore. This is about you thinking you could put me on hold while you explored your options. That's not love. That's convenience. She left my office in tears. But me? I felt better than ever. The house closes next week. Most of my belongings are packed, and my new life in Los Angeles starts in a month. Some people think I am being too harsh. Everyone makes mistakes, they say. But this was not a mistake, it was a choice. Every text to Ryan, every lie about where she was, every moment she spent planning to put our relationship on hold while keeping me in the background. Sometimes the best revenge is not getting even, it is getting better. And that is exactly what I am doing.